Well, I'm often asked this question, what do I mean by the word mysticism, or what does the tradition mean? You know, mine is maybe too simple. I largely mean experiential knowledge of God. In other words, not just textbook knowledge or seminary phrases you've been taught, but something you really have experienced. And when people speak from true experience of transcendence or the divine or God, it's a very, very different way of speaking. And the easiest word to describe that different way of speaking is it's non-dual. Now, I know most Christians aren't used to that term, but it means you don't see everything in terms of either or. Like Jesus himself is not either human or divine, he's both. To understand the mystery of the incarnation, you have to be a non-dual thinker. And that's why mystics can understand things like the incarnation, the Trinity, things that otherwise defy logic. So, but let's just settle for mystical knowledge of God as experiential knowledge of God, where I know something, I might not be able to verbalize it fully. It doesn't mean you need a theology degree. You don't need it at all. Sometimes it gets in the way. It might help you in the articulation of it, but it doesn't mean because you can articulate it, you've had the experience, do you see? And I think that's the weakness that we find in a lot of organized religion, that we who are clergy are trained to say things, and that's good, but it doesn't mean we've always experienced them. As Karl Rahner called it, the mysticism of ordinary life is the real goal. And the trouble is we made it something for elitists, maybe monks or nuns or ascetics or virgins. It was always people who were elsewhere. And I think we did Christianity a deep disservice. What I say is the two major paths of transformation are great love and great suffering. If you avoid great love and great suffering, you'll never have mystical experience. That's the only avenue to experience God, who is beyond any dualistic argumentation. Do you see? But what opens you up to that full field is great love and great suffering. And those you can't program. We hope we're open to love. We can't manufacture our own suffering. But it's largely those states, when we're in the state of suffering, in the state of love, it's then that we're most open to divine experience, unitive experience. And you'd be shocked if, maybe you wouldn't be, but when you read the lives of the saints, how many of them, Francis and Ignatius, both while they're in prison, feeling, I'm sure, great suffering. Julian of Norwich, who's on her deathbed. It's always in the middle of when your normal sphere of what is ordinary and what is to be expected, when that falls apart. Well, first thing that becomes clear after a moment of authentic transformation, authentic divine union, experiencing of who you are in God, is that your private self, which we would call the ego in Western psychological language, your private self is very much relativized. You stop taking your little Richard self as the point of reference for anything. I'm not the point of reference for anything. So that's why a true mystic is always humble. They know that it's not about them, that they've experienced, maybe just for a moment, the absolute center. And once you experience the absolute center, which we would call God, then you know you're not it, you see. So you'll invariably see a turn after transformation, since that's the word you used, and it's a good word, toward compassion, toward people who are suffering, people who are on the edge. You stop idealizing the top. You stop idealizing power and money and war and almost everything that now is highly relativized.